Welcome to War of the Weird, a war between friends, where the stranger to discovery is a greater chance of victory. Last time, Broomy fired first with the story of Nasubi and the most questionable reality show of the 90s. Mystic returned fire with the tale of Mike the Durable, a man whose strong predilection for alcohol was only surpassed by his aversion to death. The people cast their vote, and in the end, Mystic emerged victorious. Broomy must gain a victory this time, or he will surely pay the price. Now, I present you this week's battle. Emperor Norton versus Lightning Rod Man.
Hello, and welcome to War of the Weirds. I'm Broomy.
And I missed it.
And we're telling each other strange stories from just like strange true stories, not like, Shel Silverstein poems or anything like that. But real things that occurred that are just like, what? Generally is the reaction. What, really? But right before recording, Mystic just was wondering, he asked me, what's a rusty trombone? So that's...
So you should all submit your pictures of that? What
oh yeah, you should all definitely Google image.
If you're above the age of 18.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not, you
content.
should be having that safe search on, dude.
That's true.
All the way. No explicit images, please. Also,
you should not be listening to this podcast because it's rated E for explicit.
Oh, I thought it was for everyone. But, okay.
Maybe it is.
Yeah, it is. But, sorry, there was like a bird that was making like a ping pong squawk a second ago. I don't know if you caught it, but it was like, boop, boop, boop. It was like, is that how you're gonna mate, bro? That's how you get the sweetest mate. But, so yeah, a couple things up top before we get into the juicy deets of the stories. First of all, I have been victorious. Finally, I have won by 2.
1 by 2, which has led us to a new rule.
Yeah, hold on that.
Okay.
We're going to change the rules after this victory.
He wants to gloat. Okay, I concede. All hail Broomy, the winner.
Yeah. Oh, all hail Broomy. So I won the war.
You won a battle.
Oh, I see.
A momentous battle, but
yeah. Or like a campaign, because I've been calling these battles individually. Who knows? But I won by 2. We've been keeping score. I haven't been saying the score, but we've been keeping score, and I've finally done a major victory. And what that means is I now basically assign a extremely strange or abrasive or both thing for Mystic to consume and report back to us. And I'm going to take it, I don't know, pretty easy on you for this first one.
Okay.
It's more of, I'm just curious what you think. It is, have you heard of Captain Beefheart?
I have not.
Captain Beefheart is a famous 60s sort of psychedelic rock, but not really. Like, I say psychedelic rock, you're thinking Pink Floyd. It is not that. But he's more in the Frank Zappa vein of things.
Mm-hmm.
But Captain Beefheart and his magic band is the full name, but people just say Captain Beefheart. He made an album that is on Rolling Stone's top 500 albums of all time. It's called Trout Mask Replica.
Okay.
and I want you to listen to it.
All right.
Okay?
Okay. So that's my assignment for this until the next podcast.
Because I like Captain Beefheart.
Mm-hmm.
That album, a little abrasive, one might say.
All right.
Might be a little strange. Just the cover is a guy, but he's wearing a trout mask, and he has a hat, and he's like waving at the camera at like a dinner table, and that's the least weird thing about the experience.
All right. I'll give that a listen, and then I don't know if we're gonna sort of announcement here tied into this double announcement. We have a Discord.
We do have a Discord,
and I think we could probably post a link to the album, in the Discord so that people can endure this with me and see what I'm being exposed to or
absolutely
subjected to, depending on your perception of this. And then in our next recording, I'll give a little lowdown about my opinions, impressions, etc. of the album.
And it'll be posted there. A lot of stuff is going to be posted there. Our previous episode, I mentioned Atrocity Guide's video on Nasubi, the guy with a reality show where just was in solitary confinement for a year, basically. That video will be there. All sorts of fun stuff.
Yeah. That is another medium by which you can communicate with us and submit your own weird stories or weird news if you'd like. Speaking of weird news, real quick, this is all transitioning very organically. Elon Musk has a baby.
Oh, yeah.
And the name is invalid according to California state law. So, I'm going to post a link right now to in the Discord weird news section or server about that, so you can join our server and keep up with things like that. And it will also be a hub for our streaming community. Because we are streamers.
We're streaming and dreaming.
We'll be streaming a new game tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific time, correct? And 3 p.m. 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be streaming a new game. It's somewhat new in the world, but it's definitely new to us. Brand new start to a game.
Yeah. I've seen a playthrough of it, but that was right when it came out. I don't remember most of it.
Yeah.
But the game we did play, called Everything, last week when we're recording this, was a game where hard to explain, but we started out as a deer, and you start rolling around at 90-degree angles. So you're on your feet, you're on your face, you're on your back, you're on, we're doing that around. And then you can transform into smaller and bigger beings. And then the philosopher Alan Watts starts talking at you for 3 minutes.
At you. Lecturing you.
Yeah. And it was very, very interesting.
It was. It was good.
But just giving you a hint to how strange game-wise we can possibly get. This next one's not an insanely strange game, but it is an insanely entertaining game and kind of strange. But yeah.
So the link to our Discord and our Twitch is in our Twitter link tree bio. So you can follow us on Twitter at War of the Weirds.
Yeah.
And keep up. We announce when we're streaming, when new episodes are out, and also we post the polls there for you to decide which story was weirder.
Oh yes, and that brings us to the rule change, right? We didn't discuss exactly.
Correct.
So this took, I don't know, about 13 episodes or something like that, or maybe in terms of versus episodes, it was more like 10 or something. Mm-hmm. But so that's not what we had in mind for the amount of episodes per like victory, because it's a fun part of the show, where we assign each other's extremely strange things to ingest.
Yeah.
So I'm proposing, and Mystic already signed off, we're going to do, for every 2 versus episodes, whoever wins those 2, including our tiebreaker of Tom DeLonge, if his latest tweet is about aliens, then Mystic wins. If it's about music, then I win. Right. So, including that, it's 2 versus episodes, and then somebody wins. Somebody's watching something extremely strange. So, that is the most upfront stuff for an episode probably we've ever done. But,
yes. Yeah.
Too much. But you have a story.
Yeah, I do have a story. Oh yes. All right. So, Broomy, quick survey for you. I'm not going to make you name names, but just are you familiar with United States presidents? Just like the concept or any of them? Maybe you can mention a couple.
Yeah, I think I know what's going on with them generally. There was one named Abraham Lincoln. Correct.
That was one of them.
Herbert Hoover.
Yeah, that's not who my go-to would have been.
No, I was reaching deep.
Okay.
I was trying to think of the most obscure ones that, even though that's not presence. Obscure, that's Depression Man.
Yeah.
That's what I would call the episode about him.
About him, Depression Man, the worst superhero ever.
Yeah.
Maybe a villain. Probably a good villain, like a successful, not good as in like, demeanor or anything, because he's a villain. Yeah. But so you've proven that you have some knowledge base of U.S. presidents. Are you familiar at all with any United States emperors?
No. I'm going to say that not really too much of a thing, other than maybe, I don't know, Hawaii used to have their own separate thing, from the U.S.
Well, allow me to enlighten you. Joshua Abraham Norton was born on February 4th, 1818 in England. And he grew up in South Africa during colonization. His parents were kind of on the front ranks. Is that the word I'm looking for? I don't know.
Front lines?
Front line, there we go. And gained quite a bit of money because, they were just like, this is our land now. And so government funded a lot of their endeavors, and they became a pretty wealthy family. His parents ended up dying. Spoiler alert, everybody's going to end up dying. 1846.
I mean, that's reality.
That's just reality. Yeah. Just don't write. I don't want your angry letters. This is not. I'm not doing this. I'm not going around killing anybody. But it's gonna happen.
Okay. Thou don't protest too much. But
yeah. Just making me look guilty. I just relax. Just relax. We're all fine. So his parents died in 1846 and then 1848. Like one of them, they didn't die twice. Just one died. Mom died, and then dad died. Actually, I think it was dad and then mom. But anyways, he set sail to America. This story's not about them.
They're fucking dead. Get over
They're dead. Who cares about it? Nobody cares about anybody that's dead.
It's true.
It's true. They've never impacted our life in the least.
I don't remember them.
Exactly. So Joshua Abraham Norton set sail to America, and he set up shop in San Francisco in 1849. He was a businessman, and a somewhat savvy one, it seems. He was pretty wealthy from his parents' ventures in South Africa, and then his continual ownership of land and industry. And he sought to apply those tactics for making money in America. Well, in 1852, China was struck by a famine, and so they shut down all exports of rice. So there's a high demand and limited supply of rice, and prices of rice became exorbitantly high, as much as, dun dun dun, 36 cents per pound.
Fuck!
Who can afford that? Yeah, we're just earning that E rating every time.
Yeah, I gotta get it in. Everyone fucks.
Yeah.
So, but no, wait. So what is that though in modern day money?
Oh, all right, making me do my research here. 36 cents. 36
because it's
cents.
Like
I have some conversions.
Were 5 cents back in the day. So
right, I have some conversions for
later.
3 cents is worth 77 cents today. What? That's not right. Can that be right? That's right. All right. Well, 77 cents is 36 cents. Look at you, got me all messed up. Oh, all right.
I'm not doing anything.
Because I'm trying to do conversions for prices that are different. All right. Ignore all of this. Here we go. Let me start over. Prices originally were 3 cents a pound. Okay. All right. And which translates to 70 cents a pound.
Okay. So that's like an insane.
So that's how much it originally cost.
Okay. So that's actually not even that bad in our money.
Right. Yeah. 77 cents for a bag of rice. But it went up to 36 cents for a pound. And that equals $9.20 today.
And that's 1 pound?
That's 1 pound of rice.
Yeah, that's a little
10
little
bucks
hefty.
almost for a pound of rice. Especially when it had been less than $1.
Yeah, I'm switching my carbs over to pasta at that point.
Yeah. So it was super high. Norton was struck by the idea to buy rice from Peru, and it only cost 12 cents a pound.
Rather than 36 it was? Or
right. Rather than 36. Which that would have been $3 a pound.
Yeah, you don't have to keep doing that.
No, I'm doing it. You asked for this, so we're doing it for the rest of my life.
I asked for it once. You're making this thing.
So he was like, I'm gonna buy rice, still more than it's worth, originally, but I can sell it for way more than it's worth in California, making a huge margin. Yeah. So he spent $25,000 on rice.
Ooh.
Which is about $750,000 of today's dollars. Today's monies.
Just over a course of time, or just like at one time?
Big purchase.
Wow.
Yeah. He was like, I'm going to be so rich. Like, I'm buying it 12 cents, going to sell it for 36 cents. Like, this is going to be great.
A very random side note. Ever since you said his name was Abraham Norton, I've been trying to picture the in-between, the direct in-between between Abraham Lincoln and Edward Norton. As this character.
Oh,
Go on.
Yeah. Well, first name is Joshua, if that helps anything. But yeah, Joshua Abraham Norton. We'll learn him by a different name pretty soon, which will be even more confusing. But I'll explain that. So, good old Josh Norton was not the only one with this idea. And so other business owners decided to do the same thing. And California was flooded with rice from Peru. So the price dropped down to only 4 cents a pound. So he bought $750,000 worth of rice in our time currency to sell for $3, and then it went down to being worth only 77 cents. That's converted to our currency.
Ooh.
So wasted his fortune. So then he was like, I'm going to sue the original merchant that sold me all this rice in Peru, and was engaged in a 3-year-long court battle and lost.
Yeah,
he tried to get out of the
why would
contract.
That work? Like,
because he said that he like misrepresented. Like apparently he was under the impression that he was going to be the only one that this rice distributor sold to. And so when he sold
even
to,
if he's under a false impression, though. Yeah. That's not a legal bound thing, right? Unless they sign papers.
Well, he just wanted to try to get out of the contract. He wanted to like, how about we just give you back the rice and you give me back my money?
Yeah.
Didn't want to honor the agreement, and they were like, no, because we're making almost $1 million. No.
Yeah, let's not do that.
So Peru did pretty well. And he had to finally file for bankruptcy. He faded from prominence for a while. But in let me get this date right, 1859. I'm backing up here. Here we go. He emerged. And he had lost his mind. He declared himself Emperor Norton of the United States. He made this announcement by personally distributing letters to the press with his proclamation. And they informed the public. They like printed it because they were like, this is hilarious. And they're like, so all right, we're going to hear attention public. This guy just proclaimed himself emperor. And so he's your new governing entity. Ha ha ha. But the public was so entertained by this notion that they actually conceded him respect and recognition of his position. So let me repeat that. Despite clearly being unhinged and having no formal authority or money, the population of San Francisco did not write him off as eccentric or crazy, and they actually treated him deferentially.
Yeah, because they're memeing.
Right.
they're like, oh, this is a funny meme.
Yeah, it started as a joke, but it actually became serious.
Yeah.
Like people definitely like, oh, we'll indulge him, and like patronized him. But it ended up becoming much more legit. But I have a quote from one of the publications that he sent, or that he distributed. At the peremptory request and desire of a large majority of the citizens of these United States, I, Joshua Norton, formerly of Algoa Bay, Cape of Good Hope, and now for the last 9 years and 10 months past of San Francisco, California, declare and proclaim myself Emperor of these United States, and in virtue of the authority thereby vested in me, I do hereby order and direct the representatives of the different states of the Union to assemble in musical hall of this city on the 1st day of February next, and then there to make such alterations to the existing laws of the Union as may ameliorate the evils under which the country is laboring, and thereby cause confidence to exist, both at home and abroad, in our stability and integrity. Norton the First, Emperor of the United States.
Yeah, it's a thing where it's like, I don't know, even if you're crazy, like, there's a difference between crazy and dumb.
Right. He nailed the language. He nailed the language. Also, I like that he said at the request and desire of a large majority of the citizens of these United States, he's doing this. Like, yeah. Who is requesting
Nobody's
this?
Nobody's heard of
you. And then 4 years later, Napoleon III invaded Mexico, and so Emperor Norton added to his title, the Protector of Mexico. So he became Norton the First, Emperor of the United States, and the Protector of Mexico. Yeah, so he's doing a lot for North America in general.
Yeah. Also, it's just like, it's just a thing where it's just like, so you're gonna make this proclamation, and it's just funny that you think he has to think that it's gonna work.
Oh yeah, he's legitimately. Yeah, he legitimately thinks it's going to work, and then is upset when things don't work, and so things escalate. So yeah. And he became famous. And he strolled the streets in a blue naval uniform with a peacock feather stuck in his hat. And the citizens of San Francisco treated him as a celebrity. Stores in town began selling souvenirs and made toys of him that became pretty popular. And he was able to utilize public transportation and even eat in restaurants without having to pay because of his I mean, this was his right. He's dignified. And he just spent his days walking around town issuing imperial orders and monitoring the welfare of the city, like scrutinized the maintenance of the city and roads and transportation and stuff, and just like would just philosophize on the street corners to anyone that would listen to him. People actually started giving him money, taking pity on him because he was just like homeless and living on the street. But like under the guise of paying him his due taxes. So this inspired him to print his own currency, which he did. And these Norton bucks, that's not what they were called then, but that's how they're referred to now. Some of them are still around and they're very valuable to collectors. And like stores and restaurants actually accepted them and circulated them despite having no financial backing. Now, I don't know if like he could pay with them, but I don't know like if they were giving them back as change and other people were able to use them, or if they just like indulged him in his delusion.
I would imagine it's an indulging him situation.
The reports kind of indicate that they just kind of circulated and like other people used them some, and stores were like, yeah, whatever. Maybe not everybody would, but some places did accept them from people other than him, which is crazy to think that power and authority are really just like a mental concept that we attribute to people and currency.
Oh yeah, I mean
like,
everything about it.
People
money
only
is something we made up in general.
Yeah,
so it's
and like you hear about like the gold standard and stuff, but like who gives a crap about gold? Like it's valuable also because we say it's valuable. Like it's the same thing. Like it's the same thing as paper. It's just more convenient to carry around paper.
I mean, I'm more of a gold guy, but yeah.
Like you get some doubloons and stuff, and a little sack of coins on your hip. Yeah.
I got some nuggets.
some gold bars.
I'm a nugget man as well.
Okay,
so
nugget and bars. I'm
your bars out
I like
of there.
it refined. I like it refined and smooth. I like my currency to be usable as a weapon, so like a blunt instrument.
I like my currency to be confused for a side dish at McDonald's.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
there.
All right, valid. That's a valid desire. Emperor Norton, was actually arrested one time by. All right, so it was technically a private security guard, but they kind of were like synonymous with the police. And although they weren't like officially state police, they still had like the same authority and whatnot, because like once again, authority is just what you give people, and like I mean, if you give them that power, then they have that power, and so that's how this was. They were like, all right, you're legitimate police, and so they had a lot of the same rights, I guess, as police do to like arrest, etc. So there was this private security guard who attempted to arrest him. Who did arrest him and attempted to have him committed for involuntary hold in order to get him treatment for mental illness. And when the public found out, they lost it. Norton was so beloved by the citizens of San Francisco that they began to publicly criticize the police, and then the press printed like scathing reviews of the police department and really really damning things about them and the whole ordeal. And finally, the police chiefs ordered Norton's release along with a formal apology.
What was the initial thing he was arrested for, though?
Just being on the street corner and being like, the guy was like, he's clearly crazy, I'm gonna have him committed. That he didn't he didn't violate a law. He was just like, I guess the guy tried to say like he might have been a risk to the public or whatever.
I
but
mean,
no, he didn't do anything wrong. He was just
that's not good.
Yeah.
I mean, if he had done something wrong, though,
right.
I
still think people would have.
The public would have.
I think they probably would have, because, like they recognized him on the street corners, and they like he was a celebrity. They made toys and stuff of him. So like, a pretty prominent figure, despite being.
If they did in that case, I would wholeheartedly disagree with the public.
Oh, I would. Yeah, I would disagree with them, but like they would still do it. I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Norton was a gracious ruler, and he granted an imperial pardon to the officer that arrested him. And after this, the police would actually salute him as he strolled through town. They would come to attention and salute him. And then the 1870 census actually listed Norton with the job title of emperor, but they did include a caveat that he was insane.
The
like
census?
The census, like the the California census listed him as emperor.
It's the sort of thing where it's like, I don't know, when it comes to like actual legal things like the census, maybe you don't have to include a joke. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, well, a lot of the authority figures in San Francisco actually like really liked him, and so I guess if they're in charge, they're like, yeah, why not? It's not like the people appealed for that to happen. It's like these were people that like actively knew him, and they're like, yeah, I mean, what else are we gonna say?
He's a homeless guy. He counts as a homeless man.
Well, yeah, take it up with, you get a time machine, take it up with them.
I fucking will, dude. Don't think I won't.
Building a time machine out of spite, defying the laws of physics and quantum reality. Just to set the record straight. And eventually, after years, his uniform began to wear out because it's what he wore every day. And the San Francisco Board of Supervisors bought him a replacement. I wanted to include, so that's like the tale.
Okay.
But there's a little bit more information, and I wanted to include some of the decrees that he issued.
Okay, real quick. What was his uniform?
He had a blue naval uniform, and he wore a beaver hat, not like a beaver skin hat, but that's what the military hat's called, with a peacock feather stuck in it.
Oh, yeah. You mentioned that at the beginning, but I just wasn't picturing that the whole time.
No, that's, and I'll post a photo of him in our Discord. But so here are some of his imperial decrees. First and foremost, most notable and the most common one is that he consistently called for a forced abolition of the United States Congress, saying that, quote, fraud and corruption prevent a fair and proper expression of the public voice, that open violation of the laws are constantly occurring, caused by mobs, parties, factions, and undue influence of political sects, that the citizen has not that protection of person and property which he is entitled, end quote.
So that generally makes sense.
Yeah, saying like, hey, Congress isn't doing its job, let's get rid of it. They're not looking out for people. It's corrupt. Yeah. Well, a month later, when shockingly Congress did not take him seriously and then met again, he issued another decree summoning an army to depose the governmental body, saying, whereas a body of men calling themselves the National Congress are now in session in Washington City in violation of our imperial edict on the 12th of October last, declaring the said Congress abolished, whereas it is necessary for the repose of our empire that the said decree should be strictly complied with. Now, therefore, we do hereby order and direct Major General Scott, the command-in-chief of our armies, immediately upon receipt of this, our decree, to proceed with suitable force and clear the halls of Congress. End quote. So he wrote a letter to Director Major General Scott of the Army, United States Army.
Oh, he was
saying,
actually...
You need to go and clear out the halls. Get rid of them.
Why? It's like... I thought he had like some guy that was playing along with him that was just some guy that he was calling a major general or whatever.
No. He really wrote this letter to and expected it to be listened to. He's like, they'll heed this, of course.
That's just confusing, because why wouldn't you learn from the situation with Congress that not everybody's on your side in the U.S. government?
Well, because of course Congress isn't. They're already corrupt. They're not gonna give in and rescind their authority. They're gonna be like, they're gonna want to hold on to it. And so he's like, all right, we need outside forces. Surely this will work. But then, alas, it did not.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. For the rest of his life, he issued decrees and statements condemning Congress and calling for a dissolution of the entire republic. But nobody in authority or outside of authority really listened. I mean, they listened to him, but they didn't take heed. So seeking to change tactics a bit, in 1862, he sent letters to the Roman Catholic Church and the Protestant churches, ordering that they publicly ordain him as emperor. But they too ignored him.
Is that a thing?
That's a thing. Well, it's like the Roman, like the Holy Roman Empire,
Oh.
The Roman Church was like the authority. So he was like trying to go back to those times. But despite how silly all this may seem, and despite what may be brushed off as rambling of a madman, Norton had a pretty solid philosophy for doing what he did. He said that he wanted to rectify the split in the nation that was the result of the Civil War. He wanted to abolish the Democratic and Republican parties, saying that he was, quote, being desirous of allaying the dissensions of party strife now existing within our realm, end quote. And that the country was so focused on an internal conflict that its people were suffering, and it also was a bad representation to international observers.
Sure.
He said there's so much infighting and he wanted to rectify that. So he took that upon himself to become emperor and unite the states. And one thing I forgot to add is that Norton also called for a League of Nations way before his time, or way before the League of Nations was actually formed. And he said that we need to be able to keep unite the nations and help keep everybody accountable from violating any international laws. So he had some ideas, pretty forward thinking, that planning out things that wouldn't come to pass for years. Another less controversial political act was a decree that said, I love this one. Whoever, after due and proper warning, shall be heard to utter the abominable word Frisco, which has no linguistic or other warrant, shall be deemed guilty of a high misdemeanor and shall pay into his imperial treasury as penalty the sum of $25.
Fuck.
So if you use the word Frisco to describe someone from San Francisco, it was punishable by a fine.
I was hoping he was gonna really ratchet up the punishment, like death.
Murdered.
Yeah. Not really, because who knows how far people would be willing to take this joke.
Yeah. People would take it upon themselves. They're like, we just murdered this man for you.
Haha, isn't it great?
We were and then then what's your public defense? You get arrested and you're like, no, I was doing what he said. You already acknowledged his authority because you pardoned him. You set precedent. Just a quick note, that $25 is worth $638.90 today.
Yeah.
So if you use the word Frisco, you have to pay a $700 fine or $640 fine.
Yeah, I don't think I was generally in danger of using the word Frisco. I don't think I'd be that worried about it.
Yeah. I think it's funny. Apparently people hate it. But
yeah. No, it's funny.
I love that it makes them mad.
Yeah. It makes sense that people hate it.
Oh, but, yeah. I mean, Norton hated it, so.
Yeah.
I mean, His Highness.
And he was in Fight Club.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what confused me. Emperor Norton. I just thought of Edward Norton the whole time.
Yeah.
Because anyways. It just some final comments here. Well, more seriously, and worthy of note than the Frisco fiasco, Norton called for the construction of a bridge to link San Francisco and Oakland, and a tunnel, and demanded the arrest of city councils that ignored his order. And today we have the San Francisco-Oakland Bay Bridge and the Trans-Bay Tube. So he was ahead of his time. He also, something else that shows that he truly did care for people and for peace. In the 1860s and 70s, there were anti-Chinese riots. And during one of these demonstrations, Norton stood between the protesters and the Chinese immigrants that they had targeted, and he bowed his head and recited the Lord's Prayer until finally the rioters calmed down and left without harming the Chinese immigrants. So he, like, people really did, I don't know if they really, like, deferred his authority, but he did things like that a lot, tried to, like, maintain peace in the city.
Well, were they also like demons? So it was like
they're like cast them out. I think it's just I think it's like, yeah, because holy water and crucifix. I think he was just like, I don't know. He was trying to like unite people in religion, because in the 1800s that was more of a thing.
Yeah. No, I understand.
But yeah,
trying to do,
it's funny.
But, like,
it's funny
that it
like
worked
that's
at all. Is strange to me.
Yeah. But unfortunately, Mr. Norton was immortal, not immortal. And he died. He died in January of 1880. When he only had a few dollars to his name. There were lots of rumors and stuff that he secretly was famous, but he was just like living this way or gone crazy and like whatever. But they searched
he secretly was famous. What
like secretly was like like destitute and living on the street. Like he was doing that by choice in order to, I don't know.
Oh.
But they searched the room where he was staying, and he just had like a couple of dollars. He did have a collection of letters claiming to be from famous politicians and European royalty that people had like sent him fictitiously to feed his delusion. Like people had like sent joke telegrams and stuff to him and letters pretending to be royalty, like congratulating him on his like so he was supposedly gonna marry like Queen Elizabeth something, and so people just like did that as jokes. But he and that's cruel. Yeah. But he received them sincerely. He thought it was real, and it like encouraged him. So it's cruel. I'm not saying it was good.
It's cruel,
but
even
it was,
that is not that
but
great.
he was naive, and like it actually bolstered him and encouraged him. So like it's good for his self-esteem, but bad to give like someone like false hope like that.
Yeah.
He was going to be given a pauper's coffin, just like, you know, if like a, you know, the state or the funeral home might like provide a coffin for someone who's unable to afford it, but just like the bare minimum. Mm-hmm. But members of the Pacific Club, which was a businessmen's association, came together to fund a more extravagant coffin befitting someone of his rank. And reports indicate that about 10,000 people attended his funeral, and the city of San Francisco itself paid for his funeral.
Wow, 10,000 is quite a few.
Yeah. So quick like follow-ups on him. Mark Twain was a contemporary of Edward of Emperor Norton, and resided in San Francisco for part of that time. And he actually modeled the character of King in The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. That's about Emperor Norton. Robert Louis Stevenson made Norton a character in his novel The Wrecker. His daughter, Isabel Osborne, mentioned Norton in her autobiography called This Life I've Loved, said that he was a gentle and kindly man, and fortunately found himself in the friendliest and most sentimental city in the world. The idea being, let him be emperor if he wants to. San Francisco played the game with him. And he was actually, there's an episode of Bonanza called The Emperor Norton, and Sam Jaff played Emperor Norton. And he was a character in Neil Gaiman's Sandman, Volume 2, issue 31. So like he's been commemorated in popular culture, and since 1974, the Imperial Council of San Francisco has conducted an annual pilgrimage to his grave. In 1980, there was a ceremony to honor the 100th anniversary of his death, and the Emperor Norton Trust was founded. Which ties into the last thing. The Emperor Norton Trust that was founded was originally known as the Emperor's Bridge Campaign, which is a campaign to change the name of the Bay Bridge to honor Emperor Joshua Abraham Norton the First, because he had that idea a century before the bridge was built.
Yeah.
And so like, since it's there, like there's a group in 1939 that like wanted a plaque for him. But up until like today, there's still a campaign that exists, because there's precedent for California bridges having multiple names and like names being changed. So the organization that is now known as the Emperor's Bridge Campaign, or sorry, the Emperor Norton Trust was founded as the Emperor's Bridge Campaign, is hoping that the legislation would go into effect in 2022, which would be the 150th anniversary of his proclamation that there should be a bridge built.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's crazy that like he was just a crazy man that has had such an influence on popular culture and on like legislation and political activism today.
Yeah, it's just a thing. It's a weird thing. It's a whole weird thing.
It's weird. That's, yeah.
It's the purpose, but it's also weird in the sense of like, I don't know, the majority of the sort of playing along, like almost any of it,
it went against. So far. Oh yeah, I'm against it too. It's like harmful to feed a delusion.
Like even the smallest bit at the beginning.
Yeah.
I was like, no.
Yeah. And like I think the least that can be done is like, sure, change the name and like honor this man that everyone like made fun of and ridiculed and like potentially harmed by feeding his delusion of grandeur.
But like
you can't make reparations to him, but
like public or a large portion of his public decrees, he was seemingly for the people and a kind hearted guy.
Yeah. And I think that like at heart people like sense that. I mean, yeah, they shouldn't have gone along with it, but they did feel like he had like, if he was like outright calling for like horrible things, people would have condemned him. But I think the things that he was saying, like defense of the people and government being held accountable to do their job, I think people like that resonated with people.
Yeah.
For better or worse.
So, it's time for mine.
All right, Dracula.
Is that something that he says?
There's the voice you did with it. It's time, it's time to suck your blood. I don't know. Maybe that was a.
It is.
But it's your time to shine.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. So, Roy Sullivan.
Okay.
He was born in 1912. This is going to be one of those ones.
All right.
He was born in 1912.
Nice. What was the pound of rice worth in 1912?
Something like 36 cents. But he was the fourth of what was to be 11 children.
Okay.
In his family.
That's a lot of kids.
Yeah, that's too many.
Too many. I think, yeah. That's
like 4 is kind of too many.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
So, they lived in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia. So they're country folk. The Sullivans.
Mm-hmm.
Grew up, spent a ton of time in the great outdoors, hiking, hunting, all that shit. He claimed to have once shot 30 rabbits in a single day as a boy.
I don't even think I've ever seen 30 rabbits in a week.
I don't think I've seen 30 rabbits in real life.
Oh. I see a lot of rabbits. 'Cause I live in the country, but I'll see like maybe 2 or 3 a day. On like not every day, but like when I see them on a day, I might see 2 or 3 together. But that might be like weeks apart before seeing another. Yeah. So that's a lot.
Yeah, he sold them for 25 cents a head, I guess. That's what it says.
Okay.
And as a boy, he was helping his father cut wheat and using a scythe, and lifts up his scythe, and a lightning bolt strikes the scythe, sets the field in front of him ablaze. Which also, he also is getting struck by it. Obviously, he's holding the scythe.
Right.
It's not great. There's not too much detail on that story. That's like all I got for you on that. So, fast forward. In his early 20s, he joins the Civilian Conservation Corps. He's like an outdoorsy person.
Mm-hmm.
Part of his job was demolishing the homes of neighbors who were forced to relocate in order to get forests back to their original state because they were establishing a park and that kind of thing.
So, I just want to real quick, just my initial thoughts are like, that's not a job that you want to like fulfill with your neighbors. Like, you're gonna be hated in your community.
Yeah, sure.
Like, all right, that's my thought. Like, if you have to do something like that, do it in a town that nobody knows who you are. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's like because he's like living in the country, it's not like a town where people are right next to you or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Still.
Yeah. So
bad gas travels fast in a small town.
In a small forest.
In a small forest.
Around this time, he married a woman named Martha Herring. They had a son. But in 1936, he was 24. And he started working as a ranger in Shenandoah National Park in Virginia. That was the park. Oh, you know this?
Yeah, I know Shenandoah Valley.
Ah.
It's in West Virginia, I think. But still. Sure.
But that was the one he was helping to establish. He had a very small part in. He was a gruff-looking guy. He was like a big, gruff-looking guy. Kind of looked like Gene Hackman. I don't know if you can picture that.
No, but...
he's an actor that was in a lot of things.
I'm looking him up now. Oh, nice, yeah.
He told a lot of stories. He had a lot of practical knowledge. Like street smarts, but instead it's like forest smarts, you know?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And he was like a well-liked guy. And he was going along fine, being a park ranger, for like 6 or so years. Until April of 1942. Storm outside, and he was, so he kind of hid out in a fire lookout tower.
Right. Because he had experience with storms.
Well, yeah, but also it's just like, it's like a heavy storm. You're just in the middle of open area in a park. Right. It's not awesome, and most people aren't going to be out there. So it's like, what am I patrolling?
Right.
So tower was built fairly recently. Didn't have a lightning rod. And it was struck 7 or 8 times with lightning.
What the?
So Roy's in the tower, seeing fire jumping all over the place inside the tower because of this. So he runs outside because the tower's on fire and he's in it.
Yeah, I would leave too.
And after getting only like a few feet away from the fire tower, he got struck by lightning.
What? God hates this dude.
Yeah. And this is a quote from him. It burned a half-inch strip all the way down my right leg and knocked my big toe off. My boot was full of blood, and it ran out through a hole in the sole.
That's insane. First of all, can we just talk about how it's insane that your shoes get blown off when you're electrocuted, and like your feet sometimes? Like,
yeah.
What a horrible side effect.
I mean, it's fun. It's a funny idea that you're like, oh, my shoes got blown off. What a horrible thing.
Like nature, you're already getting struck by lightning, and then nature's also like stripping you down.
Yeah. You know, you lost the hand. You were playing a strip poker game that you didn't even know.
You didn't even know. Life's a gamble.
It's true. But he healed up, and he got back to work. At some point along the way, he was no longer with Martha Herring, the woman he had married. Mm-hmm. In 1943, that was like a year later, after this event, he married another woman by the name of Madeline Shiflett.
All right.
And somewhere between 1943 and 1953, they stopped being together because we know he married Vinda Blackwell. So he's going through some wives.
That's a sinister name.
Vinda Blackwell.
Vinda.
Damn it, Vinda. Put down the gun. And somewhere between 1953 and 1962, they must have stopped being together. Because in 1962, he married Patricia Morris.
How do we know he's just not like compounding wives?
You mean like
just adding them all,
flattening them and putting them in a sandwich? What are you talking about? Compounding?
No, like that. He's just like has one and then has 2 and 3 and 4. That he's actually moving on between them. That he's not just like having a bunch of wives at once.
Oh, I think people. I don't know. People would know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess so. And there's probably not a lot of women that would tolerate that.
Yeah. But he married, in 1962, he married Patricia Morris. He was around 50 years old at that time. Uh-huh. Patricia was 19.
Jeez. All right.
So, little bit of an age gap there.
Yeah.
They had 3 children. But, you know, not a great look. Even at the time, you know what I mean? Like, even at the time, people were like, you know, people around town that knew him were like,
like, dude, what? Come on.
So, in July of 1969, that's about 27 years after that event where he got struck by lightning outside of the fire tower. Mm-hmm. He was driving his truck on a mountain road. Lightning hit some trees right by him, was deflected into the open window of the truck.
Oh my.
Which knocks Roy out, puts his hair on fire, fries his wristwatch, and his eyebrows and eyelashes are burned off.
Fries his wristwatch. Say that 5 times fast.
Fries his No.
One
time.
All right, that's okay. He was struck by lightning a 3rd time, and it happened to be like deflected through his open window as he was driving by. Mm-hmm. He's gotta. All right, what? Okay, so he lost his hair, his facial hair, and his fried off. Is what you said?
Or I don't think he had like a beard, but
his eyelashes and eyebrows
and eyelashes. Yeah.
All right, that sucks.
And the truck kept moving while he was unconscious and stopped right before going off a cliff.
He
recovered.
I don't know whether or not something's looking out for him or something wants him dead and is failing.
Yeah. The only thing looking out for him is his Ford. I don't know if he drew a Ford.
Sponsor us, Ford.
Please, Ford.
Please.
You don't want us to go to Chevrolet.
I know. Although they did have the Like a Rock campaign, Bob Seger.
Oh!
There we go.
Like a rock.
Like a rock.
But yeah, he recovered. But July of 1970, almost exactly a year later, outside of his house trailer, Roy was working on his garden in the front yard. Lightning hit a power transformer that was close by, and it jumped to his left shoulder. He gets flung off the ground. His shoulder's seared.
I would never leave the house again. After being struck a second time, I would not leave the house again. This is 4 times?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then a month passes, and Patricia was in the front yard, and she gets struck by lightning.
Oh my gosh. What? This guy's cursed. Does he have like metal bones? Like, there's what explanation is there for getting? He's like attracting. Does he fill his body with magnets? I don't know.
Yeah, he's like if Storm had no control ever.
Yeah, yeah.
the X-Men Storm.
Yeah.
So spring of 72. That's 2 years after those two strikes, him and his wife. Roy's working inside of a ranger station, still in Shenandoah National Park. Occasionally registering a visitor that comes in, or a carload of visitors, or whatever.
Right.
Then out of nowhere, lightning just destroys a fuse box right next to him. He's in a building.
Yeah.
Sullivan later said, "The fire was bouncing around inside the station. When my ears stopped ringing, I heard some sizzling. It was my hair on fire." He tried to smother the flames with his jacket. That didn't quite work. He ran to the bathroom, tried to put his head under the sink. Didn't fit, so he gets a wet towel and he puts his hair out. So, at this point, Roy thought, maybe something's up here.
Yeah.
Like, like he wasn't really like a superstitious guy generally, but
he was a little stitious.
Yeah, something stish is happening. But he was starting to think maybe there was some force that was trying to destroy him.
Emperor Palpatine. Force lightning.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean,
I forced that
he
joke.
got sniper lightning.
Yeah.
So he became a bit afraid of dying by being struck by lightning.
Reasonably so.
So for months after that last strike, if he was ever caught in a storm in his truck, he would pull over, lie down in the front seat until the storm passed.
Not an overreaction at all.
Yeah. Are you saying that sarcastically?
No.
Because
no.
Yeah.
If I was struck twice, I would never leave the house again. If I was struck once, I would be traumatized and probably wouldn't want to leave the house again. Yeah.
He also thought that he would attract lightning even if he stood in a crowd of people. And he carried a can of water with him just in case his hair was set on fire. Like, he carried a can of water just around.
Yeah. Can you imagine that? Like, you're like, "Excuse me, sir, you can't bring water in here." Be like, "I have to in case they get struck by lightning and my hair's on fire." They're like, "What?" Be like, "It's happened 4 times or 5 times." So,
yeah.
They'd be like, "We don't think we want you in here
away.
at all."
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you're declaring yourself emperor or something. You're crazy.
Yeah. And also at that point, Guinness Book of World Records was like, "Yo, this cray."
Yeah.
And 1972 edition describes Sullivan as the only living man to be struck by lightning 4 times. And it's 4 because there was no particular way to confirm the time as a boy.
Right.
So, whereas there were like logs of things happening in various places.
Right. Right.
So, August of 1973, about a year after that last described lightning strike, he's patrolling the park and he sees a storm cloud forming. And he just drives away.
He craps his pants.
Drives away as fast as possible. But the cloud seemed like it was following to him. Kept driving. And at one point he thought, like, I feel like I've outrun this. So he leaves his truck. And, quote, I actually saw the lightning shoot out of the cloud this time. And it was coming straight for me. Unquote. He later said, and, moving down his left arm and left leg, throwing off his shoe before crossing over to his right leg below the knee. He wasn't knocked unconscious this time, but his head was on fire. So he crawled to his truck, and he poured the can of water that he kept there.
Good thing he kept that can. Well, does he... Okay, now at this point, I'm thinking, like, I wonder, you know how there's mental illnesses that, like, makes a person think that they're already dead?
Yeah.
I wonder if there's, like, a mental illness or some sort of disorder that leads the person to think that they're getting struck by lightning a lot, and they're not. And they're, like, doing this stuff to themselves, like lighting their hair on fire in order to... Because, I mean, this is unbelievable.
Keep that thought in your head.
All right.
Going forward. There might be reason for you to think that.
Okay.
But after this one, he revealed to reporters he had, also, perfect timing for that statement. After this one, he revealed to reporters that he had dreamed of the past 2 strikes in advance.
All right. I'm suspicious.
And after this lightning strike, he had a dream that signified that was the final lightning strike.
How do you... Okay. All right.
And he is quoted as saying, God spared me for some good purpose. It's between God and me. And nobody but us will ever know.
Does he know?
Which one? God? Or
yeah, either.
Or
Roy. If he knows, he ain't telling.
I'm going to say neither knows. Neither's involved. So, June of 1976, that's like 3 years after that strike, he saw a cloud, thought it was following him, tried to run away, but still got struck by lightning, setting his hair on fire, injuring his ankle. He's about a mile away from when he got struck, like 4 strikes ago.
Mm-hmm.
And 5 months after that,
I've lost count. This is like 6 or 7. I don't know.
Yes. We're around there. He and Patricia, he retired 5 months later. Just underlining that.
Mm-hmm.
He retired from being park ranger, no longer park ranger. He and Patricia moved to a town called Dooms.
That's ominous.
Yeah, several dooms. Where he parked his house trailer and immediately put 4 separate lightning rods on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
Put lightning rods on 6 of the tallest trees around and on his TV antenna. So, June of 1977, almost a year after that, Saturday morning, and Roy Sullivan was fishing in a freshwater pool, started to smell sulfur. and the hair on his arms bristled. Seconds later, lightning hit the top of his head, hair on fire. It burns his chest and stomach, and he lost hearing in one ear.
Does he have metal hair?
That's your theory?
That's my theory. He's I like that his lightning senses were tingling, literally.
Yeah. He's very much like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He turned to his car, but a bear approached the pond and tried to steal trout from his fishing line. And I say tried because at that point Roy picked up a tree branch and hit the bear on the snout.
All right.
Because he wanted to keep the trout, I guess.
Because he wanted to add fighting a bear to his list of survival stories.
Yeah, he claimed that this was the 22nd time he had hit a bear with a stick in his life.
All right. I was almost on board with the 30 rabbits. There's no way. I've seen one bear in the wild.
He's a park ranger, though.
But still, you're close enough to hit him with a stick, and you do. You know, like bears are so scared of you. If you're supposed to clap at them to scare them away. This guy's close enough to hit him.
Yeah, he's a bear hitter.
I think he's like this guy had to like go to zoos and hit bears. That's the only reason. That's the only reasonable way that you can achieve hitting 22 bears is if they're captive and you hit them.
Yeah. Or it's a bear piñata.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Or he dreamed 20 of them.
Yeah. But here's a quote from him. Some people are allergic to flowers, but I'm allergic to lightning. It's funny stuff.
I don't think he's having an allergic reaction to lightning. I think he's just having a reaction to lightning.
Yeah. And then in another interview around that time, he said, I have a feeling I'm going to be struck again someday.
Yeah, I would think so.
He had previously, as I mentioned, predicted that was the last strike or whatever.
Yeah.
But he was wrong. Because at the age of 71, September of 1983, around 6 years later, Roy Sullivan killed himself.
Whoa.
Reportedly for unrelated reasons. So, as you talked about previously, some people find this story to be unbelievable, literally.
Mm-hmm.
And the main reason, other than how crazy it sounds, is that there was no one was an immediate witness
right
to Roy being struck at any of these points. And nobody was right around him looking at him at the time that it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Some believe that maybe he was struck several times and enjoyed the notoriety, and he claimed more strikes after that did not happen.
I even wonder or suspect if he had maybe PTSD about being struck, and then he hallucinated and relived those as a form of night terror or something, like a living nightmare that he hallucinated that he was being struck again.
Maybe. And another one of those reasons, either due to mental problems brought on by the strikes or just wanting more notoriety, or both. That's what people are thinking in general.
Yeah.
But most people find it hard to believe that he would set his hair on fire, burn off his eyebrows and eyelashes, destroy shoes, clothing, get a doctor to lie for him, and do all that to be able to say, I got struck, it was crazy.
I mean, I wonder if even if the doctors didn't lie, like if he fooled them. I'm not saying he did or didn't. I wonder. And then the fact that he committed suicide like leads me to believe he had something going on, like some sort of mental illness. Or, I don't know.
The idea a lot of people have about his suicide was that it was to do with the unrequited love situation.
Mm-hmm.
But the nature of his suicide was also a little questionable.
Uh-oh.
The story goes his wife was sleeping next to him, and he shot himself in the head with his wife's .22 pistol through his pillow. And his wife didn't wake up for 3 hours. And then she discovered his body.
So she could have... Wait, unrequited love. But it says... Wait, what? Hold on. Did his wife not love him, or was he in love with somebody else?
Unclear. I think it might have been his wife didn't love him. This was the woman that was 19 when he was 50.
Oh, yeah. In either case, so scenario 1, he's in love with someone else.
Yeah.
His wife knows about it or finds out and kills him.
Yeah.
Or she just doesn't love him and kills him.
Yes.
I'm not saying that he couldn't have killed himself. He very well could have.
Yeah.
It's hard to think. Also, if you're gonna, why would you do that? Why would you hide it or try to hide it, silence it? Or I don't know what.
If you were going to do it,
yeah,
why would you kill yourself right next to her anyway? Even if you're trying to silence it, wouldn't you just leave the premises?
Either leave or wait for her to leave, or you wanted her to know, do it loud. I don't know.
Yeah. So that's the story of Roy Sullivan, aka Lightning Rod Man.
Yeah.
Other lightning strike details that I thought were relevant is lightning strikes kill about 24,000 people a year.
Yeah.
And 40 of those people are Americans. So...
say that again? 40 what?
40 of the 24,000 people a year that are killed by lightning are Americans.
Mm-hmm.
So just giving you a vague idea.
Tiny percent of people.
Yes, and let me give you the likelihood of an average person being struck by lightning 7 times was calculated by somebody who knows what the fuck they're talking about.
Right.
Like a professor in mathematics, I believe, at some college, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Was struck by lightning 7 times. The likelihood of that is 4.15 in 10 sextillion.
You said sex.
It's true. So to get a slightly better idea on how big of a number that is a 1 with 32 zeros after it.
Oh.
So
my brain
4
hurts.
In that number.
That's how likely it is to be struck that many times.
Yeah. But that's the average person.
Right.
Roy Sullivan was always outside. He had metal on him. He had like a badge and a gun.
Right. In high ground.
So those factors are going to change the number, but not crazy.
Oh yeah, they're not like, oh, of course this happened. No, maybe that means maybe it would happen once.
Yeah, maybe like cut a couple zeros off of the 32 zeros after the 1.
Yeah, so 30 zeros. Okay, still.
Yeah.
Still super unlikely.
Yeah. So, and Mary Ann Cooper, a professor at the University of Illinois at Chicago, studied lightning strike survivors for 3 decades. And a quote from her is, "It causes chronic pain and causes brain injury. Post-concussion type symptoms. You and I can filter out distractions and still focus. one of the things we see with lightning and electric shock patients is that ability is scraped off. So, if you get struck by lightning, you could die from cardiac arrest.
Right.
Otherwise, it can fuck you up in like a myriad of ways. Chronic pain, digestive problems, PTSD, aphasia, which is the inability to comprehend or formulate language because of damage to specific brain regions, and all sorts of other horrible injuries. So, you know, I tend to believe that Roy Sullivan was struck at the very least like 2 or 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Just based on, everybody comes up based on what I told you. Like, I didn't get that much more information than that.
Right.
And I generally believe he probably was struck all the times he said he was. Personally, I choose to believe that. But if somebody said, I don't believe he was struck once, I don't know about that. I think he was struck at least once. Like, come on.
Yeah. No.
But
for my opinion, unsolicited, is that
I don't want it. Please, no, please.
Like, and we're gonna end the podcast now. No. I do believe it's possible that he or that someone could be struck that many times. Like, in all of history and or in the future, as far as time exists and people are alive on Earth, I'm not surprised that, like, out of all of the billions of people, out of the trillions and whatever, sextillions of people that have or will ever exist, that there will be one person that's struck by lightning multiple times like that.
Yeah.
However, it is my belief, this is just my opinion, it seems like the likeliest scenario to me is that he was struck at least once, maybe twice. Mm-hmm. But my suspicion is that the first one, when he was younger, did traumatize him a bit. And then it took like the second one to realize that he could get attention from it, and that he may have intentionally done things either like I said, like maybe he had like PTSD, and during an episode he did something to facilitate himself being hurt, or that it looks like he was struck by lightning, even if he is not conscious that that's what he was doing. I'm not saying that he only faked it. It may have been real in his mind, and then his body, like some part of his brain, like made it happen in order to back up or verify or whatever that what his hallucination is telling him, or that he did it to himself. Like, maybe he manipulated the fuse box, or like stuck his finger in a electrical socket or something like that. And like received the same results, but I don't know.
You're kind of talking me into that. I want to believe. Basically, I'm a what is it, Mulder in this situation.
Oh yeah. No, but I do think it's possible that he was struck as many times as he said he was. I think like in all of history that there's going to be somebody, and sure, maybe it's documented at this time. Who knows? I'm open to the idea.
But yeah, no, it's also kind of just as interesting, the idea of somebody.
Oh yeah. Oh, every bit of this is weird, regardless of whether like it's proved 100% proved one way or the other. It's weird. Yeah. It's weird either way.
Like watching a movie of somebody faking this and succeeding at faking it for so long is pretty crazy. But I was gonna scroll up. Oh yeah. But another thing, like, in his favor is that the Guinness Book of World Records doesn't generally fuck around.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's also very valid. And the fact that they weren't even going to consider the first one because there was no evidence, like, that means, I mean, maybe he had some kind of genetic or like like some kind of mutation that like, because people are all electricity and chemicals. Like, we're all made of electricity. Like, that's our brain activity is like. So yeah, maybe there was some sort of like mutation on him, or maybe like the lightning altered him in some way that he was more prone to it, or became like a magnet for it. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he had like a lot of metal in
a mutation, you say?
He's the next generation
like
of human.
A certain exemplar man?
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm saying. That Professor X was looking for him and did not get to him in time.
Yeah. Well, that's my tale.
Yeah,
and
that's a weird one.
Yeah, and that's our show.
That's our show.
So you can go over to our Twitter, which is @WarOfTheWeirds, and vote on which is the stranger things.
And yours is called?
Mine is called the Lightning Rod Man.
And mine is Emperor Norton.
Emperor Norton versus Lightning Rod Man. Go ahead and vote, and your vote will very quickly be determining who is going to be the one that has to ingest the weirdest, strangest shiz in the gosh dang wizard.
Yeah, and I will, on next recording, have consumed the album Trout Man? What is it?
Trout Mask Replica.
Okay.
By Captain Beefheart.
Yeah, I will. I will sing all of the album, or mimic the sounds for the entire episode next week. No, I will not do that.
I was thinking we would do a mini episode. Maybe,
oh yeah. Let's do that. Let's do that, like a mini episode reaction type thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, look forward to that. Probably, pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And please go check us out on Twitch, on Twitter, on Discord.
Yeah, join our Discord. Interact with us personally.
Yeah. And we will see you on the next one.